the sannyas order is to be accepted from another sannyasi. One cannot accept sannyas from a grihastha, uh, even if that grihastha is transcendental. One must accept it only from a sannyasi. Although the Lord was independent in all respects, still, to keep up the formalities of the Shastras, he accepted the sannyas order from Keshava Bharati, although Keshava Bharati was not in the Vaishnava Sampradaya or school. He was not officially a Vaishnava, even though he was unofficially a Vaishnava. Uh, he did not belong to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, or he did not belong to the Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. But he was factually a Vaishnava, as I have already noted earlier, and as it has been noticed in Chaitanya Bhagavat. After consulting with Keshava Bharati, the Lord left Navadvip for Katwa to formally accept the sannyas order of life. He was accompanied by Srila Nityananda Prabhu, Chandrasekharacharya, and Mukunda Datta. Those three assisted him in the details of the ceremony. The incident of the Lord's accepting the sannyas order is very elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. This appears in the final chapter of the Madhya Khanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Vrindavan Das Thakur himself says that he is only presenting a summary description therein. So the Lord, he took sannyas simply for the welfare of the living entities. Thus, at the end of his 24th year, the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life in the month of Magh. After accepting this order, he became a full-fledged preacher of the Bhagavata Dharma. Although he was doing the same preaching work in his householder life, when he experienced some obstacles to his preaching, he sacrificed even the comfort of his home life for the sake of the fallen souls. Even in his household life, his preaching was very much in tune with the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, it is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, just before the Lord took sannyas, he told his followers, now he's still a householder, see, he's telling them, sing the glories of Krishna, glorify Krishna, worship Krishna, chant the name of Krishna, do not think of anything other than Krishna. If you have any affection for me, then don't speak about any other topics other than Krishna. Whether you are sleeping, eating, or waking, day and night think of Krishna and chant his name. So this was his standard preaching. This is in fact the teaching of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Satvatam Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Dhyaya Pujascha Nityada. That one should always think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should chant about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are the standard teachings of Bhagavata Dharma from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So even in his household life he was doing that. But because there were some obstacles to his preaching, for the sake of the fallen souls, for our sake, the Supreme Lord, he accepted sannyas. In his household life, his chief assistants were Srila Advaita Prabhu and Srila Srivas Thakur. But after he accepted the sannyas order, his chief assistants became Srila Nityananda Prabhu, who was deputed to preach specifically in Bengal, and the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, headed by Srila Rupa and Sanatana, who were deputed to go to Vrindavan to excavate the present places of pilgrimage. So after the Lord took sannyas, he took up the preaching work in different manner. First of all, he deputed the Supreme Lord Nityananda Prabhu to preach in Bengal. He himself travelled throughout South India on a preaching tour for 6 years, and he also organized his successors, uh, the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, who would do substantial work. They in fact became the foundation stones for his sampradaya. Specifically, he had Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami take up the lead. He deputed the Goswamis to Vrindavan, and they were to continue his preaching mission. Specifically, the Lord wanted to highlight Vrindavan, which was uh, totally, totally in unexplored. People did not understand the position of Vrindavan clearly. The present city of Vrindavan and the importance of Rajabhumi were thus disclosed by the will of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, after accepting the sannyas order, at once wanted to start for Vrindavan. For 3 continuous days, he travelled in the Radhesh, places where the Ganges does not flow. He was in full ecstasy over the idea of going to Vrindavan. However, Srila Nityananda diverted his path and brought him instead to the house of Advaita Prabhu in Shantipur. This is in Bengal. The Lord stayed at Sri Advaita Prabhu's house for a few days, and knowing well that the Lord was leaving his hearth and home for good, Sri Advaita Prabhu sent his men to Navadvip to bring Mother Shachi to have a last meeting with her son. So Srila Advaita Acharya, he called Mother Shachi to come and see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These have been very beautifully described in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat is a prequel to Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is its sequel. Chaitanya Bhagavat describes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Grihastha pastimes in its Adi Leela and Madhya Leela, and its Antya Leela describes his sannyas pastimes. Whereas in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Grihastha pastimes have been delineated in summary in its Adi Leela, and in its Madhya Leela and Antya Leela, his sannyas pastimes have been beautifully described. So there you find a very fine description of the meeting of Mother Shachi with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To have a better appreciation of these topics, it would be very nice if one would actually get hold of Srila Prabhupada's edition of Chaitanya Charitamrita and read it. Anyone who accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead can take benefit of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned this to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So this is a very, very important literature which helps us understand the message of Srimad Bhagavatam in distinct relief. Some unscrupulous people say that Lord Chaitanya met his wife also after taking sannyas and offered her his wooden slipper for worship, but the authentic sources give no information about such a meeting. Chaitanya Bhagavata and Chaitanya Charitamrita do not say such a thing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict in his dealings with women, and when there were even apparent discrepancies, these have been brought out by his biographers and explained and clarified. So such a great apparent discrepancy as the Lord meeting his former wife would certainly have been brought out in Chaitanya Bhagavata or Chaitanya Charitamrita. It would certainly be ridiculous to claim that such an event actually happened, but Kaviraj Goswami or Vrindavan Das Thakur, the biographers of Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavata, purposefully didn't notice it, or to say that they didn't even know that such an event happened. That is even more ridiculous to claim. We should keep in mind how strict sannyas amongst respectable sannyasis was, we are not talking of tantric sannyasis, we are talking of respectable sannyasis, Vaishnava sannyasis, or even Shankarite sannyasis. We are talking of mumukshus, the sannyasis who are seeking liberation or something higher. We are talking of them at that time, how they were behaving and what standards they were uh, that they were observing. These were very, very high standards. His mother met him at the house of Advaita Prabhu, and when she saw her son in sannyas dress, she lamented. By way of compromise, she requested her son to make his headquarters in Puri so that she would easily be able to get information about him. Jagannath Puri was a very well known place of pilgrimage. India is a land of pilgrimages, even up to this day. And even though India was in great political turmoil from the beginning of about 1000 AD, since um, the Muslim Empire uh, infiltrated into India from the north, even though Bengal was taken over by a Muslim government, and even though the government in Orissa was unstable, and there were several declared and undeclared wars going on, nevertheless, in India, um, the followers of Varnashama Dharma, who were called Hindus by the Muslims, were very much aware of the value of life for spiritual upliftment, and hence they would often travel to holy places of pilgrimage, specifically the Himalayas. Uh, Similarly, you find Jagannath Puri, Rameshwaram in South India. People are constantly going up and down, and therefore, Mother Shachi, she requested that her son, uh, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accept Jagannath Puri as his headquarters. So, even though he would be a sannyasi and he would be moving, he would at least have a base. The Lord granted this last desire of his beloved mother. After this incident, the Lord started for Puri, leaving all the residents of Navadvip in an ocean of lamentation over his separation. The Lord visited many important places on the way to Puri. He visited the temple of Gopinathji, who had stolen condensed milk for his devotee Srila Madhavendra Puri. Since then, deity Gopinathji is well known as Kshirachora Gopinath. Um, okay, here you'll find Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 4, a further detailed description of Kshirachora Gopinath and his pastimes. And here is a photograph of Kshirachora Gopinath from Remuna. This is the place. The Lord visited many important places on the way to Puri. He visited the temple of Gopinath Ji, who had stolen condensed milk for his devotee Srila Madhavendra Puri. Since then, deity Gopinath Ji is well known as Kshirachora Gopinath. The Lord relished this story with great pleasure. The propensity of stealing is there even in the absolute consciousness, because this propensity is exhibited by the absolute, it loses its perverted nature and thus becomes worshipable even by Lord Chaitanya on the basis of the absolute consideration that the Lord and his stealing propensity are one and identical. Kshira Chora. Kshira means condensed milk. Chora means thief. So the one who stole the condensed milk, Gopinath is the name of the deity. And this deity of Krishna, he stole condensed milk for Srila Madhavendra Puri. This interesting story of Gopinath Ji is vividly explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. It's a very, very beautiful description there.